that if I do this, then after I scrape the tip and clip it open, I'll set the overlap, and there'll just be a little tiny click that happens as the top blade sort of falls into its final position inside the lower blade, and it's tight. Like it's not leaking, it's not opening up. The idea is that I'm setting that up from when I'm putting it onto the staple, so that I overlap it a lot, and then I sort of scrape that top blade, if you can imagine it like overlapped sort of really excessively, and then I scrape the top blade against the bottom blade, so you can almost hear a until it fits right into the bottom blade. That's my overlap position. It's tight in there. And what the wrapping is doing is enforcing that, right? You're reinforcing that tightness of the top blade into the bottom blade. I don't know if that's unusual, but I've noticed that when I do that and when I tell the students to do that, it has good results.
I think you're a wordsmith, Frank. This resting of the top blade and the bottom blade. It's
so
excellent.
Clear. I could just like see it happening in my head.
Great. Yeah. And actually, it's funny because it's so remedial. Like, if you get that, and it is kind of a skill, it feels awkward at first. But if you can figure out that skill, I find it to be very, very useful.
Let's move on to preparing for auditions, and specifically, since this is a show about reeds, advice on preparing reeds for auditions.
Yeah, this is a great question. I always found that I always wanted to save reads. I had a good one a week or two before the audition. I'm going to save that. This is going to be the read that I'm going to play the audition on. These other reads, okay, I can play some run-throughs on them, and then I'll take some like almost made reads, and I can finish them down there and see if that works. So have a kind of have a variety, have possibilities. But inevitably, because I think like the scraping of the reed before the audition, maybe some people can do it. Maybe it works, but you're inevitably way too sort of wound up for it to be that successful. I mean, I find that before big concerts too, for me, like the reeds get worse the bigger the concert is, or the closer it becomes time for the concert. So I always ended up playing on not the reed that I saved, not the half-finished reeds that I came with, but the reeds that were sort of middling and that I played the run-throughs on. Uh-huh. Because those are the ones that are broken in, they're comfortable. They might not have the greatest range in the world, but they can do it all. And I think that's the main thing. Being comfortable and being able to do it all, and not worrying too much about range. Of course, we want a big range, but that's I think we can work into our playing the ability to play in a sort of smaller reed and feel like we're really projecting the full spectrum.
In that first round, that's not a great time to take risks. I mean, I haven't taken auditions in a long while, but I'm thinking that first round, you want to have something that a reed that's super reliable and that can do it all, like you say. And maybe it's not unbelievably special with tone, but will not fail you.
That's it. I mean, the whole point, I think, of the audition is to forget about equipment, to forget about your psychological drama, to like just be in the moment and be performing, right? You can think of the audition as a recital, right? Like, these people are here to hear me. How nice of them. I'm going to give them a beautiful performance. It's heartfelt, and it's not just regurgitated, and it's spontaneous, and it has all the sort of the hallmarks of a real performance. And I think the best way to do that is for you not to feel like every little thing in the read you're worried about.
When you work with students as they prepare for auditions, how do you coach them to work on their reads? Because it's psychological and then it's also technical. Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think first and foremost, you don't need the best read in the world to win a job. Wow. You just don't. You just need your own conviction. You need your own artistry, and you need to be able to like be convincing on the stage. And we all have had those reads that just comfortable, not like world beaters, but just feel like you can relax, right? What is in your head is coming out of the oboe. So the idea of having lots of played in comfy reads that maybe aren't going to last. If you had to play an hour, it wouldn't really be ideal. But generally, these auditions are not an hour. I guess Mac talked about his audition for Zell, which was like an hour and a half just on stage of Severance, just excerpt after excerpt after excerpt. But generally they're not. Yeah, generally they're not that way. And so, it benefits you to have a read that doesn't go weird if you have to soak it up 3 times that day, and that's something that that stability, that sort of broken in thing can give you.
Excellent advice. And I love that you took the focus from the reads onto music making. I think we often get that I have to have the magic read for this performance, but we are more than our reads, I hope.
How did your experience with the San Diego Symphony prepare you for your audition and your ultimate success with the Cleveland Orchestra?
Well, they were just, I think, incredibly patient and welcoming. I mean, I was 22 when I started there. I mean, that's kind of ridiculous. I wouldn't hire a 22-year-old if I were them. But it was very, very generous of them. And when I joined the San Diego Symphony, it was a year-long position that kept getting extended. So it was a 1-year position. It got extended for another year, and it got extended for another year after that. So I was taking auditions during that time, right? Because I didn't know if I was going to be coming back. Mm-hmm. So, with mixed success, I think the audition thing is just its own animal. So I was simultaneously learning how to play in an orchestra and also learning how to take auditions, how to have a broader palette, how to have a bigger range, how to play in a more confident way. In some ways, we have to almost invert our internal self-criticism, right? As a student and as a player, right, you're just constantly saying, well, how could I do it better? And that's how you grow. And in the audition, you have to absolutely turn that off before you ever get on stage, and you have to present. You have to present as if you have figured out all the secrets. And that's a hard switch to make, and I think it takes time.
Thank you for sharing that insight with us. Has your approach to reed making evolved over your time playing with Cleveland? How you prepare reeds for concerts? I mean, actually, how many reeds do you make a week generally? Is there like an average or on your machine?
I think that I should make more reeds. I think that's one thing that I would rather just be playing than making reeds. So sometimes that bites me. I certainly make a few reeds starting at the beginning of the week, right, and then midway in the week, and then hopefully that gets me through the concerts and through the weekend. Sometimes I'm feeling good and feeling like I want that new reed, for the concert, and sometimes I'm feeling like, these new reeds are just like taking way too long to break in. I got to go with something that's tried and true. I would say 6 reads a week. But the idea is that I'm not experimenting. Like when I'm in that mode, obviously there is experimentation that has to happen. But if I'm in like, let's produce for the week kind of mode, I'm going for as close to 100% success rate as possible. So, if you make 6 reads and they all work out, that's plenty, right, for the week. It's only when you're sort of up against one of those times, which is almost always when something isn't working and the weather is such, and so you're scrambling.
You're making reeds for them to work and play and function.
Yeah, I think there's no reason why, if things are, if you have a good knife and you have a good gouge, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to get, close to 100% success rate, even if that means, some of them are, 2 of them are practice reads and 3 of them are going to get you through the weekend and 1 is for teaching or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I'm not like smashing them on my desk. That's the point, Though that's the thing we want to avoid.
Absolutely. Well, with all that reed making, do you have any advice for us for balancing reed making and practicing, and maybe just life in general?
This is such a great question. I think it just really depends on who you are. The thing with making a lot of reeds is that it gives you a lot of support, right? A lot of comfort, and oftentimes if for example, I don't have a lot of time to play, it's almost better to make good reeds than it is to try to practice to get into shape, because making a good reed and playing a little bit out of shape actually works better than trying to sort of scramble and getting yourself in shape, but playing on sort of subpar reeds, because when you're out of shape, you're just a little, you're just not quick on the draw enough to sort of like compensate and so forth and so on. So it really depends on how much time you have to devote to the